In case anyone needs reminding, here's a partial list of the ex-spooks who served as media figures in the Trump years. So he's telling you these are the people who came right from they're professional paid liars to push war.
Hey everybody, we are back. Rayce Bannon here with today's lesson on gaslighting. Guys, if you do not realize the CIA places false stories into corporate media to push an agenda, you are naive. You are not red-pilled enough. And in today's video, you are going to hear from a former CIA agent how it is done. And this is one of the reasons why I walked away from corporate media decades ago. Stand guard at the door of your mind. You want a successful, content, and happy life? You have to see this BS coming from a mile away. Before we get into it, let me do the YouTube thing. Remember to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and let's get into today's lesson.
Yeah, because it's made up. And they're still doing it. And let me remind everybody where these stories come from that the New York Times print, and then Rachel Maddow, fake tough guy Lawrence O'Donnell, Chris Hayes, Cenk Uygur, they all repeat breathlessly without skepticism. And here's where their stories come from.
Another thing is to...
By the way, this is an ex-CIA guy. He's telling you how it works. Can you turn it up a little?
Disseminate propaganda to influence people's minds. And this is a major function of the CIA. And unfortunately, of course, it overlaps into the gathering of information. You have contact with a journalist, you will give him true stories, you'll get information from him, you'll also give him false stories.
Did you buy his confidence with true stories?
You buy his confidence and set him up. We've seen this happen recently with Jack Anderson, for example, who has his intelligence sources, and he has also admitted that he's been set up by them. Every fifth story just simply being false. You also work on their human vulnerabilities to recruit them in a classic sense, to make them your agent so that you can control what they do, so you don't have to set them up sort of, by putting one over on them. So you can say, here, plant this one next Tuesday.
Can you do this with responsible reporters?
Yes, the Church Committee brought it out in 1975, and then Woodward and Bernstein put an article in Rolling Stone a couple of years later, 400 journalists cooperating with the CIA, including some of the biggest names in the business, to consciously introduce the stories into the press.
Well, give me a concrete example of how you use the press this way, how a false story is planted and how you got it published.
Well, for example, in my war, the Angola War that I helped to manage, 1/3 of my staff was propaganda. Ironically, it's called covert action inside the CIA. Outside, that means the violent part. I had propagandists all over the world, principally in London, Kinshasa, and Zambia. We would take stories which we would write and put them in the Zambia Times, and then pull them out and send them to a journalist on our payroll in Europe. But his cover story, you see, would be that he'd gotten them from his stringer in Lusaka, who had gotten them from the Zambia Times.
So that's how it works. That's how it works. That's how the CIA controls the media, and that's how you get misinformed, and that's how we end up going into Iraq. That's how we end up going into Libya. That's how we end up going into Syria. That's how we end up staying in Afghanistan for 20 years. Because of stuff like that, and because of highly paid disinformation artists like Rachel Maddow.
And there you have it, boys and girls. That's how, if you watch corporate-owned media, you are lied to, gaslit on a daily basis. That video, that CIA agent is explaining this decades ago. Do you think anything has remotely changed with corporate-owned media? When you step back and then you hear a story, things will not sound right. They won't feel right to your gut. You know why? Because it isn't right, and you know you're being lied to. As Jim Rohn, motivational speaker, his mentor told him, stand guard at the door of your mind. All right, guys, I got to wrap it up. Remember to subscribe to the channel, knock that notification bell. And until next time, I am Rayce Bannon, and I'm out.